I think Tapon Street or Disco Time could punch their ticket as a superstar moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see whether or not we get that additional older horse that can really prove that this is the year where they could take a step forward. And Tapon Street and Disco Time, for different reasons, could both be that horse.
This is VSiN at the Track. Now here's your hosts, Mike Somich and Aaron Halterman.
Welcome in your VSiN at the Track. I am Mike Somich. He is Aaron Halterman, and it is officially Pegasus weekend. Massive day on Saturday from Gulfstream Park. We're going to talk about everything Gulfstream. We got 4 best bets from the undercard. We're going to talk about 4 major stakes races of that card a little bit later as well. But before we do that, we got to talk a little bit of 3-year-olds here with Golden Tempo winning the Lecomte. Jackson Hole looked good. Ted Noffey back on the track. So a lot to get to today. Aaron, how is your Thursday going as we prep for the Pegasus?
It is fantastic. I feel like this is kind of the unofficial start of the horse racing season, even though horse racing never stops. And as you know, you're here watching and you see us every week. But this feels like the first major event of the year. And then it's just like, okay, now we get the Pegasus. And now every week, now till really the end of prep season, we've got major racing somewhere at some circuit as far as the 3-year-olds go. So this is great. I feel really good. This is always one of the most exciting weekends of the year for me.
Yeah, last weekend, the Lecomte at Fairgrounds, obviously kind of like your appetizer. And this is the main course as we roll into the official start of the 2026 season here. We've got Derby points that got given out last week. No Derby points on the line this weekend as we don't have any major 3-year-old races on the card at Gulfstream. They'll get to their 3-year-old schedule a little bit later. But look, I want to start out just talking a little bit about this card at Gulfstream because it is phenomenal. We've got 13 races, full fields across the board, 7 graded stakes. There are a couple fun races on the undercard and some Sunday horses I want to talk about as well. But what was your original reaction when we got this Pegasus card?
I really love it. I don't think we have a superstar, and I think that's good for betting. Listen, I was there when Arrogant won it. I was there when Gunrunner won it, and it was a spectacle to see, but the betting wasn't there, right? Where now we don't really have stars, but we have really good horses, right? Just not the superstars. So it makes for a very fascinating betting situation. I think the undercard is fantastic. There's one race in particular I'll talk about when we go to the best bets that I think is going to just be super fascinating. So anyway, there's a lot going on. I love the mix of turf and dirt when it comes to Gulfstream cards like this. They always in my opinion, have the right kind of formula to kind of mix and match there. So I was super excited for it.
Yeah, it's really fun when you have 3-year-olds are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I love the trail of the Kentucky Derby. I love the Breeders' Cup. I love the big days where we get to like Kentucky Derby Day, Belmont Day. Those undercards are awesome because we do get to see the stars in other divisions. And this is one of those days where you're going to see some of those stars in the undercard divisions who could have very, very big 2026s leading up to the Breeders' Cup. And I'm gonna say you should tap the brakes. We don't have a pronounced superstar yet in the Pegasus World Cup. I think we could have one coming out of it. And so I think that at least adds a little more intrigue to that specific race as well. Like I said, we'll cover that race in full detail a little bit later here. But let's transition over to those 3-year-olds, what we saw at Fairgrounds. And let's start out with the Lecomte Stakes, where I feel like we probably said Cherie DeVaux's name, I don't know, 15 times, 20 times in the last episode. She delivered. She had a big day at Fairgrounds, and it was capped off by running 1-2 here with Golden Tempo and her second place horse in that race as well. His name's skipping me here. Mesquite.
Yep.
So yeah, Golden Tempo, Mesquite run 1-2 for her. We see the Jose Ortiz angle play out a little bit here as Jose Ortiz, her leading rider, jumps on Golden Tempo, gets the win. Mesquite for Flavian Pratt runs second. What was your takeaway here from the Lecomte? Do we have a legit Derby contender? Do you think that we get multiple horses into the gate from this race?
Oh, it's a tough question. I think the race itself was not impressive, right? The analytics didn't come back very great. No matter what speed figure you look at, it was kind of slow. The time was slow compared to other races that ran at that distance on the day. And so in that respect, you go, yeah, that wasn't that great. But here's the deal. The winner was making his second lifetime start, right? And the winner also is bred to go a lot longer than 1 1/16. So the race itself, I was not impressed with. The horse Golden Tempo that won the race, and you could even throw Mesquite in there as well. They should get better, and they're going to have to get better, but they have every right in the world to get better. So that race, will it translate to a Kentucky Derby winner? Specifically just watching that race? No, but can this horse get better? Can Golden Tempo run in the Risen Star, go a little bit longer, third race of his career, and maybe be, jump up 7 or 8 buyer points? Yeah, he could. He absolutely could. So that's kind of how I want to take it. I don't want to be on record of saying all those horses suck, because I don't know. I think they all did kind of suck on that specific day, but I do think Golden Tempo specifically can get better and should get better as we go along.
Yeah, I want to point out Golden Tempo specifically because this is a horse. I picked this horse. A lot of things against Golden Tempo going to this race. Never had gone 2 turns. Was only a second career start. Things that people generally don't look for in the Lecomte because it is a longer prep earlier in the season, especially if a horse doesn't have a ton of stamina built up. I thought this was a really impressive race from Golden Tempo for a couple reasons. First off, first time going 2 turns gets the win. Immediately, especially in a Kentucky Derby prep race, that is a very big positive. Secondly, this isn't an easy trip for a 3-year-old, the one that Golden Tempo got. Closed up the rail, something that you don't generally see horses do unless they are a little forward mentally. I think this proved that Golden Tempo a little ahead of the game there from that perspective. And secondly, like we talked about the breeding last week, this is a Curlin out of a Bernardini mare. The distance is going to get better with more time here. And if you already have a mentally forward horse who I think is bred to be able to handle additional distances and then gets this win off a 6 furlong race, I think all of that bodes well for the future for specifically Golden Tempo. I'd be surprised if Golden Tempo doesn't end up in the Kentucky Derby gate. And I would expect this is a horse that is, depending on how we project out, but right now I would expect this is a horse that ends up somewhere between 7 and 15 to 1 in the Kentucky Derby.
I agree with you. He did everything the exact right way. He checked boxes that go, man, that's a pretty good horse. He just did it slowly, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
again, to that point of what you said, second start, first time going long, he has every right in the world to improve in his next start. So that's why I keep saying, with him specifically, I don't really hold much against him. He won, and that was kind of the only box he needed to check for this specific race. Win, finish up nicely, things like that. The rest of them, though, I don't know. I don't know, Mike. They're not great. Mesquite, I think you can take and maybe think he's a little bit lesser version of Golden Tempo, but I think he will improve a little bit. The rest of these horses, the 2 Brad Cox horses run last and second to last, they showed nothing. I still don't like Chip Honcho whatsoever. I know he ran 4th. Carson Street, I feel like had every chance to win the race, who ran 3rd and got beat. I just don't know what was in here. And again, even the horses that ran 1-2, they're going to have to improve out of this race.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think everyone has to improve. The goal is to be your best first Saturday in May, and I don't think this is even close to the best that we're going to see from Golden Tempo. I'm not nearly as sold on Mesquite. I think this is a horse where it wasn't the first time going 2 turns. This is a horse that had a little bit more foundation built underneath. I think Golden Tempo is really the horse to watch out of this one. You mentioned the 2 Brad Cox horses, very disappointing from both White Tiger and Thunderbuck, who you mentioned finishes last and second to last. My biggest issue with Golden Tempo here is not sure what we beat. But again, beating these type of horses first time out 2 turns, I think is at least enough of a positive start moving forward. Some people are arguing the best 3-year-old that we saw run on this card was actually from the 3rd race, the number 1 horse, Jackson Hole, a Todd Pletcher horse that sold for $1.3 million at auction, son of Nyquist out of a Bernardini mare. So again, really well bred for the distance. Goes gate to wire, doesn't beat anything, but looks like the actual a good horse in this spot. What did you think of Jackson Hole? Ran a little bit faster than Golden Tempo when you look at the times. What did you think of Jackson Hole going gate to wire there in the 3rd?
I thought it was really good. This is another horse that was just making his second career start. He was also another horse stretching out in distance for the first time. He beat nothing, and there's no arguing that. And he got an absolutely ideal, perfect trip. There's no arguing that either. I mean, he went out to the front and went gate to wire, and he never had any pressure the whole time. My biggest thing with him, if you watch his maiden race, he won it. He was a mess. He acted like he had no clue what he was actually out there supposed to do. This race, he kind of was pretty professional, really. And so that was my biggest takeaway. Just mentally, he got a lot better race 1 to race 2. He got an 84 buyer speed figure for the effort. Golden Tempo got an 81. I mean, it's apples and oranges, really, when it's that kind of separation. Basically the same. And like you said, Golden Tempo didn't get a great trip. Jackson Hole did. So Look, I think he kind of is in the same kind of light as Golden Tempo at this point. I think they got better in their second starts. I think there are reasons to believe they could get better again as they keep racing. So Jackson Hole's on the radar is how I would describe it. I don't think he's a top 5 horse. I don't even really think he's a top 10 horse as we sit here and talk about it, but he got on the radar. It was a pretty solid improvement race 1 to race 2.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see where Jackson Hole goes next. Pletcher, not normally a fairgrounds path for his Kentucky Derby horses. That was, to me, one of the negatives about Jackson Hole, is that we were at fairgrounds, not Gulfstream, where you generally see those Pletchers go through that progression when they're leading up to the Kentucky Derby. So I'm interested to see, do we stay at fairgrounds? Do we step up into the Kentucky Derby points? Do we end up at Tampa? Do we end up at Gulfstream? Where he decides to go with Jackson Hole, I think that kind of will tip the hand on what exactly Todd Pletcher thinks of this horse as well when it comes to ranking his Derby contenders.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, over the years, we've seen him ship horses to fairgrounds, talking about Todd Pletcher, and they usually are the second, third, fourth string horses. The kind of the thing with Jackson Hole, though, that we kind of know, he's not Ted Noffey, right? And that horse is at Gulfstream. He's probably not Nearly, who ran a 96 buyer last time out. He's kind of at Gulfstream as well. So it is kind of one of those situations where he probably sitting there thinking, well, I got to send him somewhere. I don't really plan to run him here. Maybe run him over fairgrounds. Let's see if he likes it. And then we'll throw him into the Risen Star next. That could be what he's thinking. But it goes to exactly what you're saying. We know that he's not the top 1, 2, 3 horses in his barn right now.
Now, before we jump into the Pegasus card, I want to jump forward one day to Sunday. And I didn't prep you on this, so we'll see what your thoughts are. But we are in the time period here where you're going to see some really good 3-year-olds debut. And we talked about one last week for the Bill Mott barn. I think it's important to just highlight a couple races that are coming up from Gulfstream Park's Sunday card, because I do think these are horses we may be talking about next Thursday and what their chances are when they start to move on to the Derby Trail. We'll start with race number 3. Just one horse that jumped out to me on this race, but I wanted to mention it, the all the way on the outside code review for Saffie Joseph Jr. and C2 Racing, who own White Abarrio, decide to debut this horse on this Sunday after Pegasus Day. Very good workouts. This is a horse that sold for $575,000. Something that C2 Racing doesn't often do is put a lot of money into these younger horses who have yet to start. They like to buy horses after they have run. Workouts are great in the morning. Irad takes them out. Uncle Mo out of a Speightstown, so distance shouldn't be a problem. Debuting at 6 furlongs. Code review, do you think this is one that has an opportunity to kind of jump into the conversation when we see him debut on Sunday?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad we're talking about these 2 races, because I'm almost more looking forward to these 2 races. Not more, but almost as much, because of the situation right after the Pegasus is over. We're back to the Derby Trail. Code review was the one that jumped out to me when I handicapped this card. There's 3 horses in here that have ran. I don't love any of them, really. Prize Pick, One Reward, and Azam are the 3 horses that have started. I kind of think Code Review is definitely the best of the horses that haven't started. There is the number 5, Deep Flame, is another horse for Brad Cox. Into Mischief horse that I think, has been working out decently enough. But I think Code Review, a bullet 2 back there on January 11th over that Gulfstream surface. He worked very fast on January 18th as well. I think, like I said, he's drawn outside. I think as long as he makes the break, doesn't miss that break, I think he's going to the front. I think he's trying to take him gate to wire.
Yeah, Deep Flame didn't get a mention from me simply because Brad Cox has Junior Alvarado riding.
Yeah.
Alvarado on that horse tells me probably not a serious Derby contender. Not because Alvarado's not capable. He won the Derby last year, but because he's riding for Brad Cox. And if Brad Cox has a Derby contender, rarely is it Alvarado, who would be up in the first start. In fact, he's only ridden for Cox once in the last 2 years. So that, to me, was the tip of the hand there on Deep Flame. Race number 7, loaded, maiden special weight on Sunday. One I expect that we are going to talk about on Thursday. Starts out with the number 1 Spartacus for Todd Pletcher. John Velasquez rides. This horse has a ton of buzz in the morning. We'll see what he can do. The number 2 Hickman Creek, Brad Cox, and Ortiz decides to ride this one. It's a homebred for Juddmont out of a Constitution out of an Empire Maker mare. And then all the way on the outside, Canaletto. $1 million purchase into Mischief the Sire, Distorted Humor on the bottom, and Tyler Gaffleone rides for Chad Brown. All 3, I think, could end up in prep races moving forward at some point this year.
I can't wait for this one. This feels like the loaded one. Spartacus is a full brother to Nest. Nest was a great horse for the Todd Pletcher barn. Hickman Creek is a half brother to Laurel River. And Cantaletto, I don't know if you know this. He's a half brother to Sandman, your favorite horse,
Ooh,
Somich.
love me some Sandman.
So you may throw Canaletto out because of the Sandman connection. But the good news about Canaletto, he's by into mischief. So he didn't get that tap it craziness that Sandman got. So maybe Canaletto will be ready to run. This is going to be a great race. I've heard the same things that you've heard about Spartacus. I have heard so much hype on this horse. I'll give you a little insight. He was drafted in the Racing Dudes Fantasy League by John White. John White is a legend in horse racing, one of the greatest handicappers to ever live. He claimed him when he was unnamed. He said, he drafted him. I'm going to draft this horse. He's unnamed. He's a full brother to Ness, just right. Full brother to Ness. I said, okay, great. He had a chance to drop this horse for a different horse. And he said, I'm not doing it. There's no way I'm dropping Spartacus after all that I've heard from him. So he has a ton of hype. Sometimes they run to that hype. Sometimes they don't. But Spartacus certainly is the steam horse. Hickman Creek, the 2, I would say he's the other steam horse. That's the one I've heard the second most about. And then Canaletto on the 9 there. I've heard a little bit about him, but not quite as much as the 1 and the 2. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait to watch this race. I'm very curious to see how it shakes out.
So Sunday, keep an eye. Race number 3, code review running at Gulfstream Park. Race number 7, you've got Spartacus, Hitman Creek, and Canaletto, all 4 horses that could possibly end up on the Kentucky Derby Trail down there at Gulfstream Park. So fun little 3-year-old Sunday, but we've got to talk about the Saturday action. Before we do that, let's talk a little about football. Head into the new year with a smarter betting strategy powered by VSiN Pro. Join the VSiN Pro and get instant access to everything you need to make more informed bets every single day. You get daily best bets from VSiN hosts and guests, real times, DraftKings, and Circa betting splits, AI-powered prop tools and matchup analysis across the NBA and NFL, 24/7 video and full show replays on the Watch app, plus expert picks and prop data throughout the NFL playoffs. Get started today for just $9.99. Save 50% with an annual plan. Start betting smarter today. VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. All right, Aaron. Let's do it. Let's head into this Pegasus card and let's kick it off with race number 10, the Grade 2 Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf Invitational. $500,000 on the line. And we mentioned these are full fields. You have some very interesting races, and from a betting perspective, this one may take the cake. Lukewarm favoritism here, 9-2 on the number 7 Whiskey Decision. A lot of horses that I think are in play at that 8-1 to 12-1 odds range as well. I know I'm going for a price. This feels like a race where you kind of have to. Are you going to go for a price here in this spot?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to go for that high of a price, but I am going to go for a non-favorite. I went number 11 In Our Time on top in this spot. I think this horse plays very, very well in this spot. I think a horse that, in my opinion, is dropping down in class. I don't think this field is quite as good as the last 2 races that In Our Time has been in the Franklin at Keeneland and then the Grade 1 Matriarch there at Del Mar. I think this is an easier race. I really like this horse to get to the front. I think this is the speed of the race. I know we've drawn the 11 hole. I think as long as she breaks well, she's going to clear this field and try to take him gate to wire. Now, she's had trouble finishing races, right? But again, you look, she won it at Kentucky Downs on the lead. She had another race at Kentucky Downs where she got third. She got caught. The De La Rose, she got caught, but she only lost by a quarter of a length. I really just think all these races I'm listing off, this is a weaker race than those, and I think she can hold off this field. The big key is going to be breaking well and getting that trip that I'm talking about. But when I look at this, I think all she really has to outkick to the front is probably the 5, and I think she can do it. So give me the number 11 In Our Time on top to take him gate to wire.
Yeah, Classic Q, the 5 is going to be fascinating from a pace perspective. Saw this horse go forward last time out, forward in the Lake George up at Saratoga, as well as with Wild Applause up there. So has the ability to be fast early. Not nearly as fast as In Our Time. I think that's really what separates In Our Time from the rest of this field. The big question mark for me going to be the distance with In Our Time. Does have a win in 4 starts, but we have seen this horse struggle to finish when you are at this 1.16 distance. So that to me is the question mark with In Our Time. Because of the post and the price, I went a different direction. I do have the 11 in my top 4 here. I'm going to go for a number here. Give me the number 8, Proctor Street. 12-1 on the morning line. Brendan Walsh, Tyler Gaffleone. First time facing graded stakes company. That is the main knock here on Proctor Street. However, This is a horse that has won 3 of her last 4 races. The race that she lost, she ended up running third to Dynamic Pricing, a very good horse up at Saratoga going a mile. She loves the mile and a 16th distance. 5 efforts, 4 wins, 1 second. And Proctor Street has just gotten better every single start that we've seen her. She just keeps improving little by little by little, especially if you're looking at the buyer numbers. Ran a career best buyer 93 last time out. This is early in her 5-year-old campaign. We often talk about like the late 4-year-old, early 5-year-old is where you see these horses start to reach their peak powers. I think Proctor Street is reaching those peak powers. And the pace here really is a detriment to some horses. Proctor Street has been able to be, 3 lengths, 4 lengths back in a lot of these races going a mile and a 16th. I think you're going to see Proctor Street be able to sit close enough to the pace that you're not too far away to close, but also be able to have that big time kick late in this race. So coming from mid-pack, I think Proctor Street gets a good trip here and has a big chance at winning, and I love the 12-1 price.
Well, I have terrible news for you. She's not going to be 12-1. She's not going to be close to 12-1, in my opinion. I think she might even be favored in this race, to be quite honest with you.
That would be a bummer. That would be a bummer.
Let's be serious for a second. What price are you really, truly expecting?
7-1.
I think if you get that, you should do a backflip. I really don't, because look, I've got the horse in second. I agree with everything you said. I had the horse on top for a long time. I ended up flipping back to the 11 in our time. But I think you could flip them. I think it's a 2-horse race between the 8 and 11. So I have nothing against the pick at all. Look, I just look at this, and I handicapped this with no odds because, well, let's face it, the odds were barely out before the show, right? But so you kind of had to. But I looked at Proctor Street and thought 4-1, so I don't know. I don't know what it'll be. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the morning line maker will be right. He's not going to be, I'm just going to tell you, but I mean, look what the horse has done. First of all, Brendan Walsh is on fire. You got Gaffleone. The horse is winning like crazy. This is not that tough of a race as far as a graded stakes is concerned. So look, I think Proctor Street checks all the boxes. I think makes a ton of sense. And like I said, I just think this horse is going to take a lot of money and be very, very tough to beat. So I'm with you. I really like her.
Way to rain on my parade.
Well,
it's a great way to start out the show. Just crap all over my 12-1 shot. Well, you actually talking good about it, but just crapping on my price, which I don't appreciate. However, I do agree. Yeah, we're not getting 12-1.
No.
You are correct in that point.
I mean, so we do a Pegasus wagering guide for racing dudes, and I'll just give you a spoiler alert. Let's see how many people pick this horse on 1, 2, 3, 4 of the handicappers pick this horse on top. He's not going to be 12-1, right? I mean,
not great.
So that's just how it is. And but again, look, here's the deal, and this is a thing that this goes for everything. Even last week we were talking about the morning line being so bad. Don't look at that and say, okay, this horse is 12-1 and expect that. And then when the horse is 5-1, let's say, don't bet it. No, don't do that. Be realistic about the odds. If you really like Proctor Street, you got to go in knowing this horse isn't going to be 12-1, but don't let that discourage you. It's not because the horse is bet down more than it should be. It's because the morning line maker did a bad job. Make sure you can always kind of decipher between the two, because look, I think her fair odds are like I said, 4-1, 5-1. I think that makes sense.
I have fair odds at 7-2. So I have a huge edge here, according to my fair odds. I was hoping to get 7-1, but my fair odds there are 7-2. Hopefully, we're at least a little bit to the plus side on that. And Golden Temple, a good example.
Yeah.
8-1 on the morning line last week. We both knew you're never getting 8-1 on that horse. Ends up going off 5-2, winning the race. But the 8-1 it wasn't happening. Let's go to the inside of Proctor Street. The number 7 Whiskey Decision, a horse that I think is awfully interesting in this spot as well. Flavian Pratt jumps aboard for Chad Brown, coming off a win at Backwood, going a mile and an eighth. Another horse that has some tactical speed, but is going to face a faster pace in this race than I believe we've seen in the last 3. 2 of those 3 were graded stakes. One of them a winner in a grade 3 at Monmouth a couple back. What do you think of Whiskey Decision's chances in this spot?
Well, look, I think the horse has a decent shot. I do like that Flavian Pratt is aboard for the second straight race. It looks to me like Pratt and Irad are going to have big days here. They're going to battle it out a lot. Look, I mean, last time out, won a race that was pretty solid up there. I know it was ungraded, like you said, 3 races back, 1 over at Monmouth in a grade 3. I don't know. I don't totally trust Monmouth turf horses, but this horse ran the right way and won the right way. Chad Brown, obviously another guy that, you can obviously trust on the turf. I think it's price dependent for me is how I would put it, because I feel like if this wasn't trained by Chad Brown, it wouldn't, we wouldn't be getting favoritism on her, right? She would be more along that 8-1 range. And so will she actually be that? How much money will Proctor Street in our time horses like that take? I think that's going to be the key. But look, I wouldn't talk you off of this horse. I think this horse is coming in here with a big shot. I think this is a perfect spot to try to get her back into graded stakes company. It's just going to be a matter of, well, how short she going to be? How logical is that 9-2? Is it going to be up or down? Who knows on that regard?
Breathaway, the number 4, 8-1 on the morning line. Miguel Clement trains. Ocean Murphy coming in here to ride this horse from overseas. Ran in the matriarch last time, grade 1 out at Del Mar, ran 4th in that race. In our time, your top pick ran 2nd, less than a length behind of your top pick here in the number 4 Breathaway. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this one up because, we talked about over the summer how much we loved Christophe Clement, who unfortunately passed away, but we talked about how well his son, Miguel Clement, has done with the barn. And at times it almost felt like he's doing better, right? And that happened. He won a race at Monmouth, like you said. He won a grade 2 at Woodbine. And look, 2 races back out at Del Mar in the Goldacova. That was during Breeders' Cup weekend. Breathaway ran very well to run 2nd. And then last time out, like say in the Matriarch, ran 4th. And I thought ran really well again. And again, I think the Matriarch and the Goldacova, top to bottom, probably a little bit better than what you're seeing here. So I think she fits very well. This is a horse that I do have on the tickets when it comes to the pick 5 and pick 4 and even the pick 6, because it is mandatory on Saturday. So I think this is a smart horse to put on the tickets. I don't know what to make of the jockey situation. I don't think it's bad, but I don't know that it moves the needle for me one way or another. But this horse has talent and has been really good since Miguel has taken over.
Yeah, I have a little interest in Breathaway, especially if you like In Our Time. I think you have to kind of include Breathaway underneath if you're playing tries or supers. So that's an interesting horse to me. One other I want to shout out at a price here, the number 10, and One More Time, 12-1 in this spot. We talked about this horse last time out. Destino de Oro beat this horse as And One More Time went off as your favorite in the Tropical Park Oaks there, going 1.16 over this course. That was first time out after a layoff. And second time out after a very long layoff, almost a full year. Ran well, but kind of looked like just got a little bit tired right toward the end of this race. Any interest in And One More Time at 12-1 here for Mark Cassidy and Castellano?
I would say this is the one, if she wins, it'll probably make me the most angry. So if you want to see me angry, if you want to see Salty Halty come out there, root for this one. And you can send me a text right after and see, I told you. I didn't have the horse. I don't have the horse on the ticket, I should say. I did like this horse as a 2-year-old way back when she won the Natalma. I thought she was going to be good, and you could see it. She won the Natalma in September 2024. She only had 2 races, and you pointed it out in 2025. Went a year and then won, and then second off the layoff here back in December. Ran okay. I think just got too far behind, a little sluggish in the early stages of the race, but came with a massive run. So I think it's a really good spot for her. I think she fits here. I just can't get over the gaps in the races, and I just worry that maybe she's kind of lost a little bit of a step from when she was really, really in good form, winning a maiden special weight at Saratoga as a 2-year-old and then winning that grade 1 up at Woodbine. So that's my worry. But again, if this horse is flying home late and flies by our horses, I am going to be shaking my head, because you can definitely pick out some really, really good things about And One More Time. It's a long shot that makes sense.
I think she gets a much better trip. They went 23:46 in that the Oaks there last time at Gulfstream. You're going to get a slower pace. I think that you're going to see And One More Time sitting a little bit closer. I think that's going to be a positive for her. I think she's live at 12-1. It's one of those, if you're spreading in this race, I would definitely be using the 10 horse here at the current price. I think you do get I think he's probably 8-1, 9-1. I don't think you're getting the full 12, but I think you are getting a better price than any of the other horses that we've probably discussed here so far. Anyone else on this one before you want to move on that you want to talk about?
I think you've done an absolutely fantastic job of highlighting these horses. So no, I don't have anything else on this one.
Look at that. Look at that. And with that, let's move to the inside information. Race number 11 at Gulfstream Park on this Pegasus card. 7 furlongs on the dirt here. Grade 2 race. Another race that feels like it is absolutely wide open. 12 horses are going to head postward in this spot. And favoritism here is going to fall to the number 3, Jody's Pride, 4-1 on the morning line for Abreu and Flavian Pratt. Are you going with Jody's Pride? Are you going somewhere else?
I went against Jody's Pride in this spot. Don't hate the horse, but I am going to take a shot, and let's hope Saffie Joseph and Irad have a good day here on this card. I'm going to go number 1, Indy Bay, in this race here. I think this is a very good spot for this horse. Once Saffie Joseph started training this horse, she's been fantastic. A maiden special weight win at Gulfstream, went to Oaklawn and won an allowance, went to Saratoga and won a stakes. Tried the Grade 3 victory ride back in July. Didn't run very well. Went to the Charlestown Oaks up at Charlestown, won that race, and then stretched out to the Cotillion. That's way too far. This is a sprinter and tried 2 turns, and that was a crazy thing. I don't know why he did that. But anyway, back here, number 1 jockey aboard for, in the big races is Irad for Saffie. So I really like the spot here for this horse. This is another horse I don't think will get the lead, but I think will be forwardly placed, and that's kind of where you see her at her best. She's sitting in second or third, kind of stalking a leader, and I think that's where she's going to be. I kind of think the 11 will kind of get the lead or be close out there to the lead, and I think Indy Bay is going to be right off of her flank there. I like the inside post for Indy Bay. I think she can outkick most of these horses, kind of sit the pocket trip, and I think she'll be able to get out in the stretch because I think she'll be ahead of most of these. So, give me number 1, Indy Bay. I think she gets a great trip. I like her back at 7 furlongs. I think she's going to be tough in this spot.
I have Indy Bay in second. I have Jody's Pride in third. And in true Mike Somich form here, I have a price in first. I'm going to go back to another 12-1 shot here. And this is a little tea leaves. But give me the number 4, Her Laugh, 12-1. Riley Mott, Jose Ortiz rides. So a horse that was in the Whitbackman barn as a 2-year-old and went through the Oaks path, right, and tried to go longer there. Irad Ortiz rode this horse the last 2 races at Tampa and Fairgrounds trying to make it into the Oaks. Let's look at that. This horse comes back late in the year, November 14th, runs in a N2X allowance at Churchill Downs, runs a very good second with Irad riding, jumps from that into the La Brea. Grade 1 race, 7 furlongs for 3-year-old fillies at Santa Anita. Look, Usha freaked that day. You were not closing any ground. This horse was too far back. That's just to me a draw the line through. Riley Mott, 14 graded stakes starts. 29%, $3.79 on the ROI. He's not putting horses in graded stakes that he doesn't think have a very legitimate chance to win. The fact that we are going back into a graded stakes off that La Brea tells me that this horse may not have liked Santa Anita, that the setup was just wrong, that things just didn't go the way of Her Laugh that day. Now you get this horse back in what I believe is a better track for her, a better situation for her, and you're getting the price at 12-1. I'm willing to take a shot here with the number 4, Her Laugh.
I think it's a good pick, and I've got good news for you on this one. I think you're getting, I don't know if you'll get 12-1, but you're going to get close to that. I think this horse is going to be priced right for you. And look, I kind of liked this horse when she was coming up the ranks. I remember when she won the Untappable at Fairgrounds, and it just didn't materialize after that. And I think it's exactly what you're saying. I think the horse really needs to sprint. I mean, this horse's by Practical Joke, that horse was really, really good until we got past a mile and a 16th, and then he wasn't very good. And so, you see that horse win at a mile and 70 yards down at Fairgrounds last year, or I guess that was 2 years ago, back in 24. And that was a tip top that you could go. And then it kind of fell apart. I think this is the race for her. If she's going to show that jump up and improvement that you would think she's going to, this is the spot. You got to do it here. I think it's a very good spot to be in. It is a grade 2 race, but again, like we kind of talked about at the beginning, especially on the undercard, some of these races, they're grade 2s, but they could easily be grade 3s or just kind of listed stakes. You don't have the heaviest of the heavy hitters. And so, what I'm trying to get at is if she improves a little bit, she's right there. So I'm with you. I don't have this horse on a ticket, but it's one that I could work in if there's just 1 or 2 scratches.
Yeah, the one other thing I want to point out, workout on December 21st at Santa Anita, 38 seconds for 3 furlongs. Mm-hmm. That's a bad workout. I think it is 100% probable she did not like Santa Anita.
Mhm.
Like, this is a horse that just maybe didn't like that racetrack. So interested to see what she can do over that Gulfstream Park dirt here. Again, Riley Mott, very good in graded stakes. The fact that he puts her back in here, I think, says a lot. And Jose Ortiz sticks around to ride as well. I want to shout out the 5, Claret Beret, a horse that you've talked about quite a bit on this show last year. You picked this horse at 10-1 in the Chicago at Churchill Downs on June 21st. Ended up running second that day to Vava, who I had on top, but your price was better, so I'll still give you some credit there. Claret Beret back now here, second off the layoff. Any interest in this horse at 12-1 for Safi?
It's crazy with Claret Beret. I backed her because Safi got a hold of her back in the race right before the Chicago, and she looked like a different horse, which is something that happens a lot. And she ran great in that Chicago at Churchill Downs. I haven't really seen her pick up her feet since, and so that's why I'm not on her in this spot. They did try the Grade 1 Ballerina. It's too tough of a race, but, she didn't show up at all. Then they tried the Princess Rooney, which I thought was a pretty good spot for her. She didn't show up at all. She didn't run a whole lot last time either in a much weaker race. So no, against her in this spot. I will say there is a 10-1 shot that I do kind of like. I think the horse is going to get bet down a little bit, but the number 10, One Magic Philly, that is one I am interested in. Tyler Gaffalione gets the call here. Kind of a thing where, Walsh got a hold of this horse at Keeneland, got the win. They ran in the Chaluki next. That was a race pretty comparable to this one, got second. And then the Rampart last time out didn't run very well at all. So that's kind of the bad news there. But if we can get back to the race on 11:15 or the race in October at Keeneland, I think this horse at 10-1, I would rather take a shot with than Claret Beret. But, look, at the end of the day, I kind of think the 1 and the 3 and even your horse, they make sense as well. So it's just how deep can you go? I think if you can get One Magic Philly on a ticket, I think you do it.
Underneath horse for me on the 12 Verity as well. It's the last one I want to talk about. This is a horse that ran well. Now, unfortunately, 2 best races, both over synthetic, then goes to Keeneland, runs over a sloppy track, wins the Grade 2 Beaumont there, but just a 5-horse field. The 10 and the 12 could sit similar trips here. I think Grand Job, you're right, the 11 goes. The 10 and the 12 should be sitting fairly close, and so I don't mind that outside post for the 12. Not sure Verity's good enough to win it here. I do think that could hang out and end up finishing in 3rd, 4th, and rounding out a Tri or Super at a decent price.
I couldn't decide what to do with this horse, to be honest with you. I don't know. Like the last 2 races really kind of turned me off. I thought the Beaumont was good. The synthetic races were good. Sometimes those horses out of Turfway, they go to Keeneland and they I don't know why it is, but they have success there. And then they kind of don't after that. And I don't know if it's because maybe they're really fit coming into that Keeneland meet and have been running, or maybe some of the other ones are kind of coming from different places. I'm not sure, but and it could have been, hey, the track was sloppy. That may have helped as well. So I didn't know what to do. I did leave this horse off, but again, if there's a scratch or two, this is kind of one that was on the fringe where I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll throw it on the ticket. But as of right now, no.
If it rains, I do think Verity can win this race. This is a horse that is bred for the slop. Nyquist, Bernardini, 424 Tomlinson rating there. Second off the long layoff. I think something went wrong in the 8 bells. The horse took 6 months off after that race. And so I'm willing to throw that race out. Came back, almost popped a top buyer in the return race and now jumping into grade stakes races. So I think Verity, at least a little bit interesting in the 12 there in the inside information. So inside information, number 4, her laugh, 12-1 for me. Number 1, Indy Bay, 9-2 on the line for Mr. Halterman. Look, if you're enjoying this content, if you're listening to us over on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, however, make sure you check out VSiN at the Track, our standalone YouTube channel as well. You'll get every single Thursday show on there, as well as separate videos that come out around the 3-year-old races, around who we like in the Triple Crown, what's going on in the Kentucky Derby standings, as well as horses to watch moving forward. So make sure you head over to youtube.com/@VSiN at the Track and subscribe so you never miss an episode or a moment. All right. Let's move into the big time races on the card here. We'll start out with race number 12. And I shouldn't even say that. I mean, we just talked about 2 graded stakes, but we'll move into the 2 highlighted races on the Pegasus World Cup card. First, the Pegasus World Cup Turf Invitational Grade 1 million on the line, going a mile and an eighth over that Gulfstream Park turf card. Another absolutely wide open race. Your favorite going to be the number 2 Program Trading, 5-2 on the morning line. But there will be 12 horses headed postward here. To have Baldenkoff in here as an also eligible. Aaron, where are you going on top?
I really love Program Trading in this spot. It's time for Program Trading to get a win like this. I just have always liked him. As a 3-year-old, he won the Saratoga Derby. He won a Hollywood Derby out at Del Mar. Came back off of a layoff and won the Turf Classic on Breeders' Cup Day. That was a race, on Kentucky Derby Day, which is the race right before the Kentucky Derby there at Churchill Downs. And it was kind of like, okay, well, now we got a big horse. Something goes wrong the next start of the Manhattan. He runs 5th, and then we don't see him for over a year. And he comes back in an ungraded stakes at Saratoga, was much the best, and just got beat by a lonely leader there, still almost ran him down. Went to the Turf Mile at Keeneland next off that race, and I thought was much the best again and got beat by a really good horse by 3/4 of a length. Went to the Breeders' Cup Mile next, got absolutely stopped in that race and ended up finishing 10th, but just a horrible trip there. This is the time. This horse has been facing much better horses than this. Get a trip, ride him like he's the best horse. I think he wins. Look, I don't think this is a horrible field by any stretch, but this is the weakest race this horse has been in quite a while. So give me the number 2 Program Trading. I think he's much the best in this spot.
He better win. He should.
This is it. I mean, there's no
if we don't, we're gonna have to start putting this horse on the list because I like Just a Touch and Program Trading start to be one of those horses where it's like, I cannot bet this horse. You have to win races. And the last couple feels like the last 3 really, the 2 off the break probably should have won both those races. Now Donegal Momentum did get just like a dream gate to wire trip in the Bernard Baruch. So I'm not going to completely knock that one, but same time, if you're as good as we think Program Trading could be, probably should have been able to get past Donegal Momentum. They're losing by a neck. I am going to go. I didn't even plan this. As like you said, we just had the odds come out, so didn't really know that we were going to go with 3 straight 12-1 shots here to kick off the card. But give me the number 4 One Stripe here for Graham Motion, 12-1 on the morning line. This is a horse that was very good in South Africa, which doesn't mean a lot because there's the horse level there not nearly the same caliber as ours. But I always have watched like this horse. I thought it was really interesting that Graham Motion decided to bring this horse over and go right into the Woodbine Mile, a Grade 1 for the first time in North America. Horse ends up running 5th in that race. Didn't get the best trip. Then goes back into the Breeders' Cup Mile, draws the inside post. That was awful for this horse because that meant we decided to send, and the horse just kind of quit. So I'm willing to draw a line through both of those races for trip reasons. Then let's move forward to the third race where we're like, okay, let's take a step back. Let's make sure we have as good of a horse as we think. Gulfstream Park, 1 mile, I thought was electric. Like absolutely awesome in that race. They went very fast early. They went very fast late. One Stripe was involved in all of it, able to win by 5 lengths, going away completely under wraps. And Motion goes, you know what? I think I was right. Let's step back into the deep end here. Let's jump back up to Grade 1 company. Obviously going to need to improve. But at 12-1, I'm willing to take that shot here. Also interesting, Lorena, the jockey that rode this horse in South Africa, flies halfway across the world to jump aboard here at Gulfstream. Now, sometimes it's a good thing because you have the jockey who knows the horse. Sometimes it's a bad because guess what? Doesn't ride at Gulfstream much, Aaron. So this is going to be the first time over this Gulfstream Park turf. I'm willing to take a shot, especially because of the price here with the number 4 One Stripe, 12-1 on the morning line.
It's an interesting horse. There's no doubt about it. I'm not using the horse, so I'm not going to lie to people and say, oh yeah, I love him, but it is an interesting horse. I thought the Lorena thing, getting the quote unquote regular rider, it's interesting for a few reasons. Number one, where's he been? Like he didn't ride the first 3 times, and you could say that the last or the first 2 races here were pretty big races that he probably wanted to be involved in. So Johnny Velasquez rode this horse last time out, and he chose a different horse. Now, the horse he chose is the number 10 Cugino, who's a second choice and has been running very well. So I kind of understand that, but I don't know. It's kind of like, is he here because Motion feels like he couldn't get any of the good riders in the United States? Is he here because he thinks the horse has a really nice relationship with this guy and, has been winning some bigger races when he was over in South Africa? Maybe that's it. I don't know the answer. I thought it was a little weird, but I'm kind of with you. Like, if one thing we know, Graham Motion is a tremendous horseman. And he's also a guy that he spots pretty logical. Like, he's not just going to get a horse and go, let's go to 2 straight grade ones. No. He only does that when he thinks the horse is good. Now, it didn't work. The plan didn't work. And when we cut back to a kind of a much easier race, let's say, he looked great. So I think he earned his way back. I don't think Emotion is a guy that's just going to throw horses around for the sake of it. I think he said, okay, let's put him in this allowance. Let's see if he can earn his way back in a stakes company. He did. So I don't hate your pick. I just think there's too many question marks for me to kind of back him in the spot.
No, that's fair. They're going to need to get better, but I think has every right to do so.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what One Stripe does there. Number 4, 12-1 in this spot. The 10, you mentioned it, Cugino, 7-2, your second choice on the line. Lost last time out to Wolfie's Dynaghost, who freaked in the Fort Lauderdale, able to take that field gate to wire after going a 45-4 opening half mile. That doesn't happen very often. Cugino chased that, ended up running second. What are your thoughts on Cugino here? Is the 7-2 price too short to you? Is this a horse that you're using in exotics? What are you doing with the 10?
I think if the 2 loses, the 10 is way the horse to beat. I really, really do. I don't think this race is all that complicated. I think it's the 2, or I think it's the 10. Look, Cugino's one of those horses where we kind of was like, oh, there's Cugino. He'll run second today. Like, that's kind of how we talked about him. I mean, he's won 4 out of 6. And one of the losses was the 4-star Dave, and he ain't winning that race, In the Fort Lauderdale, I think you said it perfectly. I thought he ran a winning race. Wolfie's Dynaghost was just awesome, and he's been very good as of late. The Red Smith, nice win for this horse. An ungraded stakes at Monmouth, nice win. An allowance at Belmont to Big A, nice win. Won over this track a couple of years ago in the Tropical Derby. I mean, he's kind of broken out of that. Oh, he's kind of the second and third place horse. I think he's kind of way the one to beat if program trading doesn't fire.
Yeah, 5 career second place finishes in 14 races. So that was a big bugaboo with him. But since we saw that struggle early, he has won 4 of his last 6. Did run second in the other one. But you've seen this horse win races, which was an early issue there. I do want to talk about the pace here. There is a lot of horses that like to be in second, in third, in fourth early in this race. There is just one that likes to be on the lead. That horse is coming in from California, the number 8 Cabo Spirit for Papa Padromo here. Mike Smith flying in from California to take the ride. We know the Gulfstream Park turf course can play towards speed, and it feels like Cabo Spirit is going to have it his own way early. Is the 8 a player in this race?
A lot of people have texted me saying, man, I like, program training or Cugino, but this is the horse I'm worried about. And every time it's Cabo Spirit. And you're right. There's not a lot of other speed signed on in this race. I don't fully trust him, and I think the big reason why is when California turf horses go over to the east, it never goes that great. I shouldn't say never, but it rarely kind of goes that great. I do think the one kind of pause on that comment is this horse does have the trip in him to get the job done, and we saw it last time out over at Santa Anita, take him gate to wire. We've seen other races where he hasn't been able to hold on at Del Mar and Santa Anita when he's tried to take him gate to wire. I think somebody's going to catch him. I think he's a great horse to use underneath. I think if you put him in second, third, even fourth, if you're playing supers, I think that makes sense. I think you're going to turn for home and he's going to be ahead. And I think it's just going to be here comes the cavalry, and I think a couple of them will get him. That's the kind of way I look at him.
If you do not use him in multi-race bets and pick 5s, he's going to scare the crap out of you turning for home, because he will be on the lead, and I would not. Let's put it this way. I think he is a slight cut below the best horses in this race, but I think he has a significant tactical advantage. I will be using Cabo Spirit in pick 4s and pick 5s. I think that's an interesting horse to kind of put in there because the speed edge to me just a little bit too great. Let's talk about one other horse, or at least one other I want to mention, then I'll obviously kick it to you. The number 1 test score, 8-1 on the morning line. This is a newly minted 4-year-old, never faced older. Now, we have seen newly minted 4-year-olds win this race before. Danced all the dances at 3 on the turf. Ran in the Grade 1 Belmont Derby, the Grade 1 American Turf, the Grade 1 Saratoga Derby Invitational, the Grade 1 Hollywood Derby. Got wins in some of those races as well. What do you make of this newly minted 4-year-old taking on olders for the first time?
Yep, he was the one I wanted to mention before we went on to the next race, so we're on the same kind of wavelength there. Look, you're right. He danced every dance. He won a couple of them. He won the Twilight Derby, he won the Belmont Derby. honestly, the day he won the Belmont Derby, I thought he might go on a little run, and he just, Saratoga Derby couldn't do it. Kentucky Downs, that's what it is, right? Wish he would have won last time out. A Hollywood Derby, wish he would have got the job done. He has a knack for almost winning, right? He just has that knack. He's won 4 out of 12, which obviously is good. He's hit the board 10 out of 12, and so that's obviously much better. So I'm not going to use him in the pick 5. I am going to use him underneath, and I'm not so worried that he's a newly minted 4-year-old like you mentioned. I think he'll fit okay with this group. I think this is a good start or a good place to start him off facing older horses. I just kind of think he might be an underneath horse.
Fair. I think that's fair. I kind of feel the same way about Tesquire. I think it's going to be tough for him to get to the top. Horse that will piss Mike off the most if he wins this entire weekend, the number 7 Major Dude. Don't do it to me, buddy. Do not win here. I will be upset with you. Yeah. I don't think he'll win either, but don't do it. All right, let's go to the feature race on the card. Race number 13, the Pegasus World Cup Invitational Grade 1 going a 1 1/8 over the dirt course. Fascinating version of this race. Your favorite's going to be the number 1 Disco Time, 8-5 on the morning line. Winner of 5 straight races in 5 career efforts, but clearly facing the best field he has ever faced. You have the old timer in here. You've got White Barrio, the 11, 4-1 on the morning line. This is a horse that has been awesome at Gulfstream Park, 8 for 10 in the career here at Gulfstream Park, has won the Breeders' Cup Classic, has won a bunch of massive races, including your champion from this race last year in the Pegasus World Cup Invitational, earner of over $7 million. Are you going with one of these two, or are you going a different direction?
Yeah, we'll see if this makes me, look dumb, but I'm going Disco Time. I just think he's better. I just think he's better. Here's the problem with horses like this. He has 0 class, right? But that's not.
Ouch.
Well, he doesn't. Tell me why that's different. I mean, you got a Pegasus winner and a Breeders' Cup Classic winner in the field, and in this field, the biggest race he's won is the Grade 3 Lecomte, right? But man, does he look like a serious horse. You just kind of highlight his 5 races. He breaks the maiden in impressive fashion. He then goes in an allowance optional claimer at Churchill. Very impressive again. He goes to Lecomte. He's in the parking lot. I mean, he's so wide you can barely see him on the screen. This is a horse that likes to be up towards the front. He's 10th almost the whole race, and he still won. St. Louis Derby at Fairmount Park, your favorite place where you took all your dates. He wins easy. He should win easy. The Dwyer, I mean, he looked like just a min amongst boys in that race. It's a tougher race by far. I think he's ready for it. Give me the number 1 Disco Time. I think he actually gets a great trip from the rail as well.
See, I don't think he gets a great trip, and that's my biggest issue with Disco Time here.
I see him as lay out why you think
his best race is forward. Okay, yeah. I realize he won the Lecomte from way back, right, but he also ran his worst career buyer in the Lecomte.
Yeah, no, he's not winning from 10th. No.
So he needs to be forward. Yeah. There's a lot of flipping speed in this race. I mean, Disco Time is going to go. Full Serrano is going to send from the 3 post. Banishing is forward. Skippy Longstocking is forward. Madacat Road has 123 early time form pace. I think that horse is going to be forward. Every time going 2 turns, that's a forward horse. Captain Cook wants to be forward, the number 9 horse. Mika's running today, so not going to run. The Mika, the 10 horse, also 123 time form early rating. Like, there are so many horses that want to be forward. I think Disco Time, 0 chance gets an easy lead, right? No. And I think if you push forward, it's going to be a problem. Now, again, we have seen Disco Time close before. I don't care about the Lecomte. This horse, that's not the best version of this horse. Disco Time needs to be on or near the lead. If you go 22-44, you're cooked, right? If you go 23-46, I think Disco Time loses this race. And I don't think the pace sets up properly. That, to me, points to White Barrio, who's boring. I'm not going to pick White Barrio. And the number 7, Tappan Street, who I am going to pick in this race. It's 6-1 on the morning line. Tappan Street is the only horse famously to beat Sovereignty last year. Everyone's heard that one. I thought the race was actually pretty good on the comeback. Like, did not really try and was able to beat a field of nothing. But to me, the idea that Brad Cox, who P.S. trains the number 1 Disco Time, who was undefeated and your favorite in this race, says, you know what? I've got this monster horse in my barn. I'm going to put him in the Pegasus World Cup as well, despite having the favorite in the race. Tells me that Tappan Street is ready for this spot. The trip that Tappan Street got in the Florida Derby is going to be the exact trip that Tappan Street gets in this race. There are going to be 4 or 5 horses to go, and Tappan Street's going to be like, la, 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 and just sit right behind him and get first run on all of those leaders. And if Sovereignty ain't catching that horse, I think it's going to be tough for someone like White Abarrio to be able to catch Tappan Street, who I think is just going to absolutely trip out in this spot. I'm going to trust Brad Cox knows what he's doing. He's pretty good at this. And that Tappan Street is ready to face this level again. By the way, the Florida Derby, which we're talking about, 1.8 over Gulfstream. The Pegasus World Cup, 1.8 over Gulfstream. There are just so many parallels to the trip and the style of race that you got in that Florida Derby that I think Tappan Street is going to get again Saturday. I'll take a better price with the Brad Cox horse. I'll take the number 7 Tappan Street on top.
Well, listen, I have him in second. I think it's a great pick. I'm with you. I think it goes to the 2 Brad Cox horses, and then after that, it's okay. What White Abarrio are we going to get? You know, if we get the good version, I think he's right there with them. But I think it is going to come down to those 3, and maybe those 2 if we don't get the good version of White Abarrio. I think where we differ on this is why you get Flavien Prat as your jockey. I just, and maybe I give this guy too much credit. I just don't worry about trips when it's Flavien Prat. He just has a way to work it out. I think if they go like you say he's going to go, he's just going to take the hold of that horse and just kind of ease him into 4th or 5th position. I think the horse will be fine. If for whatever reason they don't go, I just trust Pratt's going to get this horse in the right spot. So I'm just not worried about the trip with Disco Time. I think it'll be fine. I do understand what you're saying, and I almost put Tappan Street on top, and the main reason why is kind of what you laid out. It was not flashy, his comeback race. You know, I'm with you, but I'm with you. I think it was
fine.
I think it was good, but it wasn't flashy.
Yeah.
But he's here, and he's here for a reason, and that reason is because Brad Cox has got confidence in this horse. If he didn't think this horse had a chance, he wouldn't be in the race. It's just that simple. So I'm totally with you on that fact. I think that makes sense. And that's why I've got him in second. And honestly, the other big reason is, I mean, this is the horse most likely to improve, in my opinion, off of the last race. Like, we don't know what this horse could have become last year. That Florida Derby was a very good race. I think he's going to get better. I think this is a race where he gets better in. So, you know, again, I'm not worried about the trip on Disco Time. I'm certainly not worried about the trip on Tappan Street. It should set up nicely for him.
Yeah, I think it's all about whether or not this horse is ready. I think if Tappan Street's ready, this is 6-1's a good price. And it's the last time you'll get 6-1 on Tappan Street this year.
Yeah.
If not, then you like, who knows? Like, right, and then there's a 6-1 shot that doesn't win. I'm willing to take that chance with the 6-1 price versus a 9-5 there on Disco Time. We've mentioned White Abarrio a couple times. What version of White Abarrio do you expect to see on Saturday?
I just don't have a lot of confidence in it. I expect to not see that good of a version of him. And to be fair, I was kind of out on him last year when he won this race. So, you know, that's just how it is. I'm approaching it like this. I'm going to have a couple tickets where he's kind of the saver of the ticket. You know what I mean? But I don't know that I'll have him on the main. I don't know. I don't think I'll have him on the main ticket. Mike, it's just hard for me to see him showing up and running a huge race here. We haven't seen him since August. He had to scratch from the Breeders' Cup. I mean, his works haven't been amazing here this year. He had a couple of bullets back last year when he was working, but I don't have a ton of confidence. What about you?
I wish he had run between that Saratoga race and now.
Yeah.
That to me is the big issue here. Like, even last year heading into the Pegasus World Cup Invitational, there was a 3-race plan to get him ready for that, right? Doesn't run well in the Met Mile, and then takes some time off, runs in November, wins in an allowance, runs in the Mr. Prospector, runs second in that race, but at least builds up to the Pegasus World Cup Invitational. There's no build up here. This is the first time since August we're going to see White Abarrio. That to me is the reason I'm not going to be on White Abarrio. I am worried that the build up isn't there. Now, if it is not Disco Time, if it is not Tappan Street, if it is not White Abarrio, it could be anyone. And I think that's the other part about this race that makes it fascinating. Disco Time is up against the pace. White Abarrio has a run. Tappan Street has not faced this level. So right away, you can make an argument, those 3, if they don't run their A race, this thing is wide open. I would make a case for the number 8 Poster at 20-1. If you want to take a crazy shot here, it's a horse that is going to want to come from a little bit off the pace, is going to be able to set up well behind this specific pace. It's a 4-year-old that's run a couple times into this form cycle against Older. So faced Older last time in the Harlan's Holiday, ended up running second in that race, lost by a head to Skippy Longstocking, who also was in here. But Poster has an opportunity to improve, where Skippy Longstocking, I just don't see the improvement coming. I think the pace set up well for Poster as well. So crazy 20-1 for me. If you want to include it on multis, if you want to take a shot, I think makes a ton of sense in the triple. At least a little bit interesting on the 8 Poster. Did you look at that one at all?
I looked at Poster a little bit, and I think this is, every year we get a kind of a horse to go, man, he finished second or third. How did he do it? It feels like Poster's that horse, right? I don't know that he's going to win, but here's the thing you know about Poster. He kind of runs the same thing every time. Take back, make a run, see what happens. And yeah, I mean, there is a world where, like you said, the 1, 7, 11 may all run kind of poor because they all kind of have question marks. They're not absolutely elite horses just yet. And maybe it is Poster that picks up the pieces. I did look at him quite a bit. I thought the number 9 Captain Cook was kind of interesting as well. And I probably shouldn't, but I do. Well, he's weird, Mike. Like,
yeah,
we kind of figured him out. I felt like when he was with Detro, it's like, oh, he's okay going longer, but he kind of needs to go short. And then he went short with Pletcher first out and almost beat Patch Adams. And freaking Patch Adams was a stud going 6, 7 furlongs, right? And that was in the Jerkins at Saratoga. And my kind of thought process was maybe Pletcher found something out, and maybe this is a pretty good horse. He goes to the Perryville at Keeneland next, and I thought he would run great, and he was terrible in that race. I haven't seen him since, and now we're back to the distance where it didn't look like he wanted to finish. It was weird. I don't know. It's just weird. It's a weird thing to put him in here. Maybe Pletcher just wanted to run one in here. I don't know. But I kind of doubted him in the Jerkins and kind of wrote him off, and he rode huge. Or he ran huge. I'm kind of doubting him now. I wouldn't be shocked if he runs kind of big here.
Pace is the problem for me with Captain Cook. There's just so much. Again, I outlined how many horses want to go. Captain Cook's best race is in the front. And I just don't see a world where Captain Cook gets a clean lead in this race. I don't see a world where anyone goes gate to wire in this race, and that makes it hard for me to want to back Captain Cook. Number 6, Matticat Road, a horse we've talked about a lot here. I don't think we need to spend too much time on it. Another horse I think who is dependent on being forward and is probably going to face a lot of pressure there. Didn't run great in the Malibu last time, but Baffert sending one to Gulfstream, you got to at least pay attention.
I don't really worry about pace with him because I just kind of feel like he falls where he falls and he runs how he runs no matter what. And, that doesn't analytically speaking, that doesn't make any sense. But if you watch his races, it kind of does make sense when you watch it. It's like sometimes he's going to go 44 to the half and still run second. Sometimes he'll run 48 to the half and still get third. That's just who he's been. 1 win and 9 starts. And if you've been chasing him, I don't really blame you because he does show talent at times, but you're also just like completely frustrated with him. I mean, he has hit the board 6 out of 9 races. His worst 2 races were the last 2, the Jerkins was a really tough race, but the Malibu, he should have ran a lot better in there and he didn't. So I don't know. I think he can go this far. Like they cut him back to be a sprinter because I don't think they thought he could be like an elite horse going 2 turns, but I absolutely think he can run 2 turns. So maybe he hits the board. I'm kind of out on him. And I've been out on him for a while now, really.
It feels like a 4th at best horse to me. Probably 2 of the big 3 in my mind to not fire, to have a legitimate shot at running in the top 3. But I'll pass on Matticat Road in this spot. All right, that's the Pegasus World Cup Invitational, race number 13, $3 million on the line, going a 1 1/8 over Gulfstream Park's dirt course. Number 1 disco time for Aaron Halterman. Number 7 Tappan Street for me. As always, Aaron, we close out the show with our best bets. And since we'll go in numerical order here, I'll go first. Let's go to race number 2 on the Saturday card. I'm going to go to a maiden special weight here. For the ladies, though, 6 furlongs over the dirt. Give me the number 2 swing vote here. Bill Mott trains Junior Alvarado going to ride. Second start of Swing Vote's career. A lot of first-time starters in this race, so we have the advantage of being able to have one under our belt. This horse trained really well leading up to that race and then just whiffed on the break from the rail. I think if Swing Vote breaks at all in this spot, Swing Vote is going to be very, very tough. Ended up running third after missing that break. I like the number 2 Swing Vote, 3-1 on the morning line, quite a bit. Gulfstream Park's second race.
Great pick. I love that pick from you. I saw the exact same thing you did. I think this horse could be a decent horse. We see it from Mott. Sometimes they just, that's why we love Chief Wallaby and Thunderously, because they won on debut. We see more often, though, a horse like Swing Vote on debut, and then they show up and run a lot better second out.
All right, let's fast forward to race number 5 for your first best bet of the card.
Yeah, race number 5 here, and I'm going to go with number 5, Fion. This is another horse that, like Test Score, that is a newly minted 4-year-old, so taking on older horses here, but doesn't bother me at all. I've always liked Fion. I think this is a world-class horse. 7 out of 10 wins coming into this one. 2 races back, lost because there was absolutely no pace. I think this is a really good setup here. I actually think she's going to love the distance as well, stretching out. Big fan of Fion. I think there's enough in here that speed that I think she's going to just circle the field. So give me number 5, Fion in the 5th.
Fion 5-2 on the morning line. Second choice, no show. Sammy Joe, your favorite there, the 4-horse at 9-5. Second best bet on the card for me. Let's go to race number 7, 5-furlong turf sprint, the Gulfstream Park turf sprint, 175K on the line. I am going to go to the number 3, Litigation. This is a horse that last time in the Janus got a brutal trip. Trouble out of the gate, trouble in the backstretch, like a huge check in the backstretch. Came flying for 5th, and it sounds like 5th isn't great. Trust me, go watch that race. 6th, I'm sorry, lost 5th by a nose. That was a just awful trip. I mean, the check in the backstretch, the 2-horse who was like middle pack has to back up, and the Litigation's in between 3 horses in the middle, and the 2 backs right up into the 3. The 7 at that race, Litigation, checks completely out. With a better trip, I think Litigation has a huge shot in this spot. Love the 5-1 price as well. So the number 3, Litigation, race number 7, my second best bet on the card.
Good pick. Tough race. Really tough race.
Yes. Wide open race. I'm going to take a little bit of a shot. But that one I do think is enough speed with My Boy Prince and Coppola in there to set up for Litigation coming from off the pace. Your second bet comes one race later, race number 8 on the card.
Yeah, this is the race I'm most excited for other than the Pegasus races that we talked about. I'm going to go race number 8, the number 1, Life and Times on top here. If you remember, this was a best bet of mine back in December in an allowance race there at Aqueduct and an easy winner. I think this horse might be a little bit of a freak. 2 races and just been blowout wins and super impressive. I really like the number 1, Life and Times. Draws the rail, hopefully just breaks well, gets to the front, tries to take him gate and wire. The big challenge is going to be from the number 6, Knightsbridge. He's very good as well. I just think Life and Times is a little bit better. So I think you're going to get the price because they're both in the race. I know you could easily lose to the 6, but I like the 1, Life and Times.
They may cook each other. We could have a stew on the stove as those things boils over there. The 2 of them trying to go fast early. Both of them want the front. Both of them are lightning quick. 22:44 is 100% in the possibilities here going a mile. If that happens, just keep an eye on the number 9, Nelson Avenue, who I think sits on the outside and gets first run on both of them. That is going to be a fun race because you have 2 horses trying to plant their flag as the superstar there in that 1 mile, 7-furlong, 6-furlong division there for older males sprinting. That's race number 8. Number 1, Life and Times, Aaron Halterman's second best bet. Thank you for sticking with us here on VSiN at the Track. A little bit longer episode than normal, but a very, very fun day. A lot to talk about last weekend. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review Apple or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube at VSiN at the Track, a standalone YouTube channel where you'll get consistent videos throughout the week, as well as every Thursday episode with our best bets. Mr. Halterman, last question for you. If you could only pick one race to watch on Saturday, which one is it?
Oh, what a tough question. I think it'd be the 8th, the Fred W. Hooper. I really want to see what Knightsbridge and Life and Time does. I would hate to only have to pick one, though, but that does seem exciting.
For me, it's the Pegasus World Cup because you teased this early. We don't have a superstar. I think we could have 2. I think Tappan Street or Disco Time could punch their ticket as a superstar moving forward. Yeah. I'm excited to see whether or not we get that additional older horse that can really prove that this is the year where they could take a step forward. And Tappan Street and Disco Time, for different reasons, could both be that horse. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of VSiN at the Track. For Aaron Halterman, I am Mike Somich, super producer Matt Deutsch behind the glass, helping make all of this happen. Good luck this weekend at the track.